Hello and welcome to Knit Cheek. My name is Natalie and I am the cheek behind Knit Cheek, and today you are watching my 2025 Intentions and Make 9 video. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie and I host this YouTube where I come on here and talk about what I am making, what I'm knitting, what I am crocheting, what I am hopefully in the future spinning and sewing. And I don't know, I make videos about knitting. You should definitely subscribe. This video is a video I didn't think I was gonna make, but I kind of started writing out my New Year's resolutions and things that I wanted to see out of 2025 and thought I had, I don't know, enough to share and wanted to talk about it. I had never made a Make 9 before, and I didn't really know exactly what it was. I kind of had an idea. It was like, it's just kind of like a collage, a vision board. Was what I thought it was. And I was mostly right. And I actually just Googled, what is a Make 9? And there actually was a blog post about what is a Make 9 and even an Instagram. So I thought that was really interesting. So I made a Make 9, and it was really cool because after I made the Make 9, I went back and looked at my goals for next year, and a lot of them were represented in the Make 9, so I thought that was really cool and a way to tie it in together. We'll definitely put in a picture of my Make 9 for you to see. There are 9 photos here representing things that I would like to see next year from my making. I have, first off, a photo of the Jacob yarn that I bought from a fiber mill in Illinois, and I would like to make something out of that. I am thinking a cardigan because I just knit my sweater 18 out of cream yarn, and so I think I'll do a cream cardigan so I don't have 2 cream sweaters back to back. Next, I have a picture of Andrea Mowry wearing her Marley shawl. That is a brioche shawl, and I already have yarn for this picked out, Retrosaria Mondim yarn. I would really like to learn brioche this year, so that represents that. The next one is that I would like to make myself a beanie or more beanies. I only really have one me-made beanie, and so I would like to change that because it's probably my most worn item that I've knit. I'm really methodical about wearing my knits. I won't just throw them on my everyday sweatpants look, but when we're up in the mountains, I wear my beanie every time we're up there, so I just feel like it would be a good knit item to have more of because I wear them or wear the one that I have so often. Next up, I have the Lana vest, which is a vest that I had in my favorites, and then I saw in Marlene Knits Everything She Knit last year video. She was wearing it, and I loved her color and just the way that it was fitting her. So this is the second time this is going to happen where something I already had favorited was influenced for me to make it by seeing someone else who had made it or is making it. I also really want to make a vest. I've never made one, so that's why that's on there. The middle picture is a picture of one of James & Watt's patterns, and this is on there because I would really like to make a lace project, and I would really like to try a design by this designer, James & Watts, because I really like him and I like his patterns, and I would really like to knit one of his patterns. And so that picture kind of represents 2 things. I'm in between this pattern, which is it's escaping my name, but I'll definitely write it here. I want to call it the rib lace raglan. I'm in between those 2 patterns, and I'm not really sure which one I'll go with. The one pictured here in my Make 9 is actually kind of intimidating to me, but I have knit a lace top before. I'm going to try to be brave, but I may go back to the other one because it looks less intimidating. Next up on my Make 9, I have a picture of colorwork socks from Summer Lee. I want to continue doing her colorwork sock club throughout the year, and I have already started on a pair of those. Next up, I have a picture of, it would have been really helpful to write down some of these patterns because I actually don't remember the name of this one either. But the designer is Andrea. She has a channel here on YouTube, and I really want to knit something by this designer. So not necessarily this design, even though I like this design, but she has a lot of designs that I like, and so I would like to next year knit something by her. Second to last on my Make 9 is a picture of the Stornoway sweater, and that is a sweater that's been in my favorites for a long time. And Casey from Young Folk Knit is hosting a knit along with those twins who knit, and they're making this sweater. And At first, I didn't know if I would make this sweater because it's really similar to the sweater 18, but I really want to make it. So I think I'm going to make it because it just ticks some of the boxes for me of things I want to do this year. And I think I'm just going to do it. And then lastly, we have my colorwork sweater idea, or it may be a colorwork shawl. I'm not sure. I'm thinking that. But I have yarn that I bought in Illinois from Carol Sunday, and it's this really gorgeous yarn, and I would like to knit something out of that this year. So that was a quick overview of my Make 9, and now I'm going to go through my goals and like show you how close some of those goals were to the Make 9 that I didn't even realize while I was making it. I wonder if you're going to be able to hear how windy it is. So these were the goals that I had written down before making my Make 9. More knit-alongs, which was on there with the Stornoway sweater. Continue my colorwork socks. My goal is to make 10 socks this year. I thought that was kind of a good goal, like, because my goal is to do one a month, but I know I might get distracted by something else and not have time in a month, you know, in one of those months. So I didn't want to push that to 12. I thought 10 would be good, you know, in case something else comes up. Knit a vest, which was the Lana vest that I put on there. I would like to knit more sweaters, and I would like to knit a symmetrical shawl. So all of those things were checked on there. Techniques that I wrote down that I wanted to try next year were lace, which would be either one of James and Watt's designs that I want to knit, and brioche, which was that Marley shawl. So that's kind of my goals for the year and how they connect to my Make 9. I definitely think I will make more than 9 items next year, but I like the idea of a Make 9. It was really fun to make and see how well that it already correlated with a lot of my intentions for next year. So I definitely would recommend making one and then like making a list of your goals and intentions for next year and see like how the things that you put on there reflect those goals. Some other goals that I did not include or that didn't correlate on my Make 9 but I still made before making it, I definitely would like to spin yarn. And I said this a lot last year and didn't realize that it had just time just goes by so fast and you don't realize that you haven't done something that you intended to do. And I think that's why making goals are important, and there's definitely a chance that that'll happen again. But I think I'm going to be a little bit more mindful about how much time passed. I tried spinning in 2023 and I really struggled with it. I really would like to move past that and become a better spinner. And it has already been well over a year since that time that I tried to spin. So I still feel like very much a beginner. And I'm frequently watching like YouTube videos on how to spin and draft, because that's kind of what I feel like I was having a hard time with. So it is my intention to definitely change that this year and actually make something out of my spinning and to make time for my spinning. That and sewing. I bought some sewing patterns last year and even had them printed but never made any of them. I think one of the things that's holding me back is fabric. Like I don't have a very big budget for fabric, and a lot of the like online shops are kind of pricey and I just don't know where to get fabric. So I don't know, I may have to just like go to Joann's and see what I can find on sale and make that happen. I think I'm gonna start with pajamas because after watching and editing my Vlogmas videos, I was kind of embarrassed by like how ratty my PJs are. I have a lot of PJ pants and I just wore them to death and they're like threadbare. So I would like to make myself a week's worth of PJs, like 5 sets of pajama pants that, you know, I can wear. The next goal that I have for next year is going to blow your mind. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I feel like it's the opposite of every YouTuber on here's goal, and that is to grow my stash. I do not have a very big yarn stash, and I would like to buy more yarn this year to have on hand. I realize that not keeping a very big stash can be kind of debilitating to like if you want to knit something on hand or like out of the blue, or you have cast on ready to go energy. So I would like to just buy a little bit more stash yarn. Not crazy, I mean like not a crazy amount. I really only have 1 sweater quantity worth of yarn, and then the color work yarn that I have and then a lot of Knit Pick Stroll sock yarn for my colorwork socks. But other than that, I really don't have like a project worth of yarn. I have a lot of single skeins or like leftover skeins from other projects, but not a ton of ready to go yarn if I randomly feel inspiration. So I'd like to accumulate some more yarn that will inspire me just to knit more, you know? Along on the same page of getting more yarn, I would like to try more new to me yarns. I'd like to try more yarn brands, and I am not discriminating against budget or independently dyed or anything like that, just new to me. Another goal that I have for this year is to favorite less things on Ravelry. I feel like my favorites on Ravelry can get kind of convoluted and messy with things that I actually don't think I would ever knit for me or someone else. It's just something that I think is cool. And I think that I would like to kind of whittle it down to things I actually can see myself knitting. I'm really organized on Ravelry and in a lot of other aspects of my knitting. So I just want to make sure that I keep my favorites kind of cleaned up. That way, when I'm looking for inspiration for something to knit, I don't have a lot of things on there that are like, oh, that's really cool, but I would never knit that. That is my goal, is to keep my Ravelry favorites, a little bit cleaner than they are now. Another goal of mine is to dress with more style and to wear more of my knits. So maybe that means like style my knits more with my wardrobe, or just to actually have a sense of style at all. I don't know. I feel like I wear a lot of sweatpants and I'm working a lot, like on our project house and stuff. So obviously I'm not going to be dressing up for that. But I mean, I am pretty like lazy girl chic most of the time. And I'd like to change that. I'd like to be a little bit more stylish. That way I can wear my knits more. Because I feel like that's the problem, is that my knits do not get a lot of wear because I'm constantly wearing things that I wouldn't pair my knits with. So I would like to change that next year, or at least try to. Something that I wrote down on my intention goal list this year is something that I don't think will happen, but I wrote it down. That way I can move it to next year. I would really like to learn how to weave, but I just think that's too much for this year. I'm already trying to learn to spin and to learn to sew my own clothes, that I think throwing in a whole nother craft is too much, but it is something that I would really, really like to do in the future. So I put it on here and like put a note. This is probably going to be 2026, 2027 goal. Oh, that's a scary number. I don't like that. So I already went over a couple of the techniques I wanted to try that correlated with my Make 9, which was lace and brioche. Two other techniques I would like to learn this year is mending, so like how to mend a pair of socks. I don't have any socks that need mending at the moment, but Mr. Cheek does have a store-bought sweater that has a hole in it that could be mended, so I was thinking I would maybe try to mend that and see if I can learn how to mend on his sweater. And then I would also like to try some different sweater constructions. So last year I made my first pullover sweater, and I actually made a baby sweater and then an adult sweater, and both of them were like drop shoulder constructions. I am interested in trying different constructions, even though the drop shoulder seems to be my favorite based on things that I favorited, but I think it's important to try other ones. I want to grow in my knitting as a knitter, like to be more advanced, so I definitely need to try more. And if I ever want to design, I think that I need to have a wide spectrum of knitting different sweater constructions. I also created these project pages for all of my projects last year for my Everything I Knit in 2024 video, and I really liked the visual representation of like a project note. For me, like having a knitter's notebook doesn't really work. I like being able to like see a visual representation of what went into a project. So I like, the picture of the yarn that I started with, the finished object, and some of those stats right there on that page. So I'd like to continue doing that next year, and then like I made those visual boards for all the projects that I made last year in a week, the same day I was making my video, and that was kind of a lot. So I'd like to like keep up on it next year and continue to do that. And I would really like to continue to documentation of what I'm doing in my projects. Another goal that I have for next year that I'm scared to share because I'm afraid that you'll keep me accountable, and that is I would really like to host a knit along, but it's not something that there's like instructions for on the internet, and I struggle with things like that. Like I need someone to be like, this is how you do it. You're gonna go here and you're gonna do this and then you're gonna do this. And obviously that's not the case for hosting a knit along. And I just don't know how to do that. I don't really know like what goes into it, but I see a lot of other YouTubers doing it, and I keep making excuses like, oh, I don't have that many subscribers, or oh, I don't. I'm afraid that I'm going to host a knit along and that no one is going to knit along with me. So I guess that's just a fear. But I would really like to host a knit along next year. And if you have any ideas, let me know because I definitely could use some help. I wanted to do a section of this video of podcasters here on YouTube who really inspired me in 2024 and have kind of influenced the goals and intentions that I set for myself for next year. First up on that list is Escarla for her YouTube video qualities and content. I am very inspired by her editing and her filming style and her video pacing. She makes great quality videos, and every time I watch them, I am inspired and like motivated to make better quality content. Next up is Young Folk Knits, Casey from Young Folk Knits, who is inspirational in so many ways, but I put her on this list for her ability to style her knits with her sewn pieces. Just her style in general, like I wish I could copy and paste, but it's just motivating me to wear my knits and try to curate like handmade outfits that go with my knits. Another similar influence to me is Brooke Willow, Anna from Brooke Willow. She sews her own clothes as well and then styles her knits beautifully with them. Her whole aesthetic is really motivational to me, and her multi-craftualness, is that the right word? She's a sewist, a weaver, a spinner, and a knitter. So very inspirational, and I wish I can take a little bit of that multi-craftual and apply it to my life. So we will see if I can make more time for those things. I'm also very inspired by Isabella's channel Breathing Yarn and her video originality. I feel like she makes a lot of content that is different from the usual like podcast style here on YouTube. And in the past, I've really struggled with like coming up with ideas for videos. And so I have defaulted on like just a regular podcast of like, look what I'm making. And I've been very inspired by her and feel like I have this year come up with more creative video ideas. And I'm, hoping I will still be inspired by her videos in 2025. Just her like ability to come up with really original ideas. She does a lot of like whips and like finishing her whips and project vlogs, and I'm really inspired by them. So that is all that I have for my 2025 goals and intentions. I don't mean for this to be like a hard set checklist for myself, more of like a list of options for me and things that I would like to see, but I won't be disappointed if they don't happen. I am someone who loves January. I love making New Year's resolutions, but I don't want to like overwhelm myself with stuff that won't happen. But I do make a lot of them, and I found a thread online about making one silly New Year's resolution a year just to like not take things so seriously. And the two that stuck out for me were like to count how many times you sneeze in a year, which I'm not going to do. But the second one I'm definitely going to do, and that is to take 30 selfies with 30 random cats. And I feel like I could definitely do that. I've already taken one so far this year, and it's something I'm definitely somebody who at cats when I go for walks, and it makes my day, like when a cat will acknowledge me or even let me pet it. So that is the goal, is to get 30 of those. I don't know how I'm going to document or prove that. I'll probably make like an album in my iPhotos that is called 30 Random Selfies with Cats. But I thought I would share that with you so that you know that you don't have to take New Year's resolutions so seriously. That being said, I hope that this video was inspirational to you and that maybe you got something out of my goals and my intentions for next year, or you're inspired to make a Make 9 for next year. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe. I have a lot of fun videos coming up, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.